Talk to me about and just break it down for people. Where do they start when we're trying to build a list? And I can go into how I did it, but give us a synopsis of what you've done to build your list in the past when you're going after prospecting.
Well, I think the big thing is you kind of have to identify like who's your ideal client. Like who is somebody that would take your advice or listen to, you bring some, consultative services into. So we all know the people that we don't want to work with. And so, for example, I'll just use, my space now, which is I don't really want to talk to brokers that are in the fully insured arena. I'm not necessarily interested in working with, guys that are just small group. And so you kind of have to pinpoint the specific people that you think would be an ideal client. And then once you build that ideal client profile, and you can go back in and look at, the clients that you currently have, right? What do they look like? What do they do? What fields are they in? And when you get to that point, you can kind of look for others that are very similar. And then that helps you build kind of this target list. And I do it every day. So I kind of have a combo focus list that I use, and it has a number of different brokers on it that I've identified that focus in the self-funding space, particularly work with independent TPAs. And those are the ones that, I want to drip on. Those are the ones that I want to cold call. Those are the ones that I want to reach out to on LinkedIn.
The majority of my clients were blue collar clients. Not to say they're the greatest clients in the world, but from a self-funded space, a lot of times they're typically lower wage, higher benefit employees where the employer's paying more and the wages are less. And there's more stress, there's not as much margin, there's more pressure, I should say, to get them to take action. So they seem to be a better candidate for me in most cases when you're talking about self-funding, because there needs to be savings there. So I could identify blue collar industries. When I would pull, everybody knows the My Edge reports and Judy Diamond, stuff like that. I would literally pull a list, start with that, and I would start with categorizing the industries. And again, this is 100 plus. There's a way to do it under 100. It doesn't give you all the benefits data, but gives you companies' names. You can pull industries out. I would pull out any doctor industry, dentist industry, attorneys, car dealerships, municipalities, school systems, anything like that I knew were just, from my experience of prospecting, was just too long of a sales cycle and too many problems, too many hoops to jump through. I just eliminated them out the gate before we even put them into the category of casting a net on them and cold calling. So I think that's important to start with when you're creating that list is what industry do I have maybe some focus on already, or do I work well with? We all know per employee per year based on healthcare costs, guys, but gentleman by the name of Tom Emmerich, who you guys already know has been on the show, basically broke it down to me with this. And he said, John, you got to understand what is the per employee per year profit of the people. I think I saw something today. God, I wish I should have snapshot it. It literally showed per employee per year revenue. Apple, the bigger ones were up there at the top. I forget the number one, but he specifically said to me, listen, when I was at Walmart, the per employee per year profit was $6,000. So if I could cut healthcare costs by $500, $1,000, that's significant money. When you're talking about a Microsoft, their per employee per year profit is $350,000. There's no urgency to save money on healthcare. I spoke to a group in Silicon Valley, tons of money, not looking to save money on healthcare. So identifying those employers that are in need to make change, there's some sense of urgency, because you all know, like I know, that the luck of our industry is that there's an urgency factor around renewal time, which has always helped us make sales. Don't forget about that, guys, because we're not as good as salesmen as we think. We do have the urgency factor, but understanding industries with tighter profit margins and that are hurting isn't a bad place to go when creating opportunities for new prospects. Talk to me about developing the power of habit and why it's so important in prospecting.
I mean, what happens is we all have, every day happens, right? You get up and you start your day and, you become reactive. You got clients calling, you have family, you have emergencies. And before you know, you didn't do any type of high value activities. And so if you understand the way the brain works, there's this, I think it's called like the basal ganglia or something. It's a small part right in the middle, like at the base of the skull. And that's the part of your body that actually creates habits. And so when you do stuff for 90 days consistently, your brain does it and you subconsciously do it. So like, for example, like my morning routine, I watch Darren Daily, I work out, I do my journal, and I read. And it's just like, when I wake up in the morning, the Darren Daily is like the first thing I do, and it's almost automatic. I literally can't stop myself from doing it. There's sometimes I didn't even remember that I did it, and it's just because it's like subconscious. And so when you're doing those things where you're time blocking, your 3 most important activities for the day, those high value activities, you're going to set yourself up for success. And so those 3 activities, whatever they may be, they may only be, an hour and a half total, half hour each. And when you get those things done each day and cross those off your list and forget everything else on your to-do list, and then you can just be reactive, by Friday, you stack some good compound interest together to the point where you move the needle, right? You had, you reached out to 25 new prospects. You had a conversation where you did, you went over data. You had that phone call with that group where you're discussing some of these Trojan horse solutions, and it all kind of brings it together and makes it something where it's habitual. And so, same thing for me. I'm at the point too where the prospecting is almost habitual. I try to start my day where I'm reaching out to just 5 new brokers a day to say, hey, this is something that we have that can help you win accounts.
I'm telling you, the year of 2019 is going to be about the ability to eliminate your distractions. If you could keep your distractions to a minimum, I'm not going to say you're going to eliminate them, because let's be honest, it's not going to happen. If you can eliminate the majority of distractions, you can control it, you're going to win in 2019, because everybody can't control themselves with the amount of distractions. I suffer it from all the time. I'm in social media now doing this show. I'm doing marketing. I'm on these platforms. They are developed and they are built to pull your attention. Just like emails are, phone calls aren't even the problem anymore for me. It's the emails and the social media. So guys, you got to be able to put yourself, and I'll give you a tip. Remember, Zach, you were in my office. So when I would have 2 desks. I would have my service desk and I have my sales desk. Okay? My sales desk didn't have a computer on it. I had a laptop where if I needed to look up pertinent information, I could. But I didn't have my service and my emails on the sales desk. Big confession for me. I wasn't a good prospector, warming up calls. I just was never a networker type person. I was a consultant. I was a closer. That's who I was. I wasn't a great prospector. So what I'm telling you is, if you're not a great prospector and that's not your specialty, hire somebody that it is. Right? Most of you are business owners out there. We can't do it all. Find somebody to do the prospecting for you if you're not comfortable doing it or you're not good at doing it. But as far as the follow-up goes, pipe drive, so on and so forth, you the producer should be doing that. Okay? So the cold stuff, you can hire somebody else, but you should be following up relentlessly. I'm trying to think. Next week, no, not next week. The week after, we're going to be doing a session on RBP, just to give you guys a heads up. We're going to be going down to our preferred TPA of Achieve Health Alliance Intrust out of Texas. We're going to be doing some RBP, talking about what they have done. They've been doing RBP for 10 years. Okay, so you want to talk about knowing a little bit about RBP and direct contracting. That's their specialty. So stay tuned for that. Zach, what else you got to add before we jump? I think we're at time here.
Yeah, if anybody else, if everybody else wants to talk about RBP, I got a little bit of a good insight. I have a lot of good experience with it, and I position it a little bit differently. I don't mean to the end consumer, just kind of how you have to think about it. There's a lot of pitfalls technically that people don't understand, and so if anybody's interested in that, it's funny. Since I've been kind of with Gary and script sourcing, lots of people have called me and said, "Hey Zach, can you give me like your real opinion on reference-based pricing?" And I don't mind kind of sharing that. I have some good insight with that, and that's it. I appreciate you having me on, Johnny boy. It's always good hanging with you, even though you're on the other coast.
Well, I'm sure you'll be on again as my co-host here rather than the guest. But guys, thanks for joining us. I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Next week, I'll be back in New Jersey, baby. I'll see you there. Hopefully the weather's nice. Questions, concerns, shoot us an email. You know where to find us. See you next time, guys. Be good.